always thought my wedding night would be the most beautiful memory of my life. I imagined soft music, laughter, and the man I loved looking at me like I was his forever. Instead, it became the night everything I believed in shattered into dust. The ballroom glowed with golden light and hundreds of faces smiled at me, but all I could think about was him. Ethan, my husband, my best friend, my home. Everyone said we were perfect together. I smiled for photographs, accepted congratulations, and waited for him to come back from the room where he'd gone just for a minute. That minute became 10, then 20. My heart began to ache with a strange, nervous rhythm. I left the crowd, my gown trailing behind me like a ghost. The corridor outside the ballroom was quiet, only the muffled sound of the band reaching my ears. I knocked on Ethan's door softly, expecting to hear his voice. Instead, I heard laughter. A woman's laughter, soft, playful, familiar. My blood turned cold. Clara. Her name hit me like a slap. My bridesmaid. My best friend since childhood. I pressed my hand against the door, my chest tightening as I heard Ethan's voice, low and teasing, followed by her giggle. The world tilted. My heart begged me to turn away, to pretend it was a misunderstanding. But curiosity or maybe fate pushed me to see the truth. I opened the door. In a single second. The fairy tale I built for years collapsed. Ethan stood there with his shirt half open, Clara's lipstick smeared across his collar. The look of shock on their faces told me everything I needed to know. My breath caught in my throat, and for a moment I couldn't even feel the floor beneath my feet. My wedding gown suddenly felt heavier, like it was pulling me into the ground. He said my name, tried to explain, but I couldn't hear him. My ears rang with the sound of betrayal. My eyes burned, but no tears fell. I had spent my whole life believing love was about trust. That night, I learned love could also be a weapon. I took off my wedding ring and held it in my palm. My voice came out as a whisper, shaking but firm. You both deserve each other. Clara reached for me, crying, but I stepped back. I wasn't going to give either of them the satisfaction of seeing me fall apart. I walked out of that room, out of the life I thought was mine. Every step echoed against the marble floor, sharp and hollow. Somewhere behind me, Ethan called my name, his voice cracking. But I didn't turn around. He didn't deserve even my anger. The music was still playing when I passed through the ballroom. People smiled, thinking I was glowing with joy. They didn't see the hollow eyes behind my painted face. I walked straight through the open doors and into the cold night. Rain had started to fall, soaking through the layers of silk and lace. My makeup ran down my cheeks, but I didn't care. I looked up at the sky, and for the first time in my life, I felt completely alone yet strangely free. I unclasped my veil and let it drift away in the wind. Then I opened my hand and let my ring fall into a puddle. The water swallowed it without a sound. That was the night my world ended. The night I stopped being his bride. The night I was reborn as something else, someone stronger. He took my heart and broke it, but one day he would learn that he didn't destroy me. He created the woman who would never bow to him again. The first thing I felt was the cold. Not just from the air conditioner humming above me, but from the emptiness beside me. The wedding dress hung across the chair like a ghost, the hem still stained with rain. My reflection in the mirror was unrecognizable smudged mascara. Swollen eyes, a stranger staring back. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Again and again. I answered only because it wouldn't stop. Isabella. My mother's voice burst through, trembling. Where are you? The guests are asking. Ethan said you weren't feeling well. Tell them I'm fine. I cut her off. My throat ached, but my voice stayed firm. Actually, tell them the wedding's over. What? Isabella, what are you saying? I saw Mom. My fingers tightened around the phone. With Clara. The line went silent. Then a sharp inhale. Oh my God, I'll call you later, I said and ended the call before she could speak again. There was a knock on the door. 3 short taps, familiar. I didn't move. Another knock, louder. Isabella, Ethan's voice broke the silence. Please, let me in. I closed my eyes. Go away, I just want to explain. Explain what? I snapped, standing up. How you traded vows and betrayal in the same night. He sighed. It wasn't what it looked like. I laughed sharp at her. You think I'm blind? I saw her lipstick on you, Ethan. I heard you laugh with her while I was waiting for you to come back to me. He tried again, softer this time. I was drunk. She came on to me. I slammed my hand on the table. Stop blaming her. You were my husband. You don't get to be drunk enough to forget that. His footsteps moved closer to the door. I love you, Isabella. Please, we can fix this. Something in me broke not from love but from the exhaustion of hearing lies dressed as apologies. No, Ethan, you don't love me. You love control. You love being adored. And you thought I'd forgive you because that's what a good wife does. Don't do this, he pleaded. We can talk. I opened the door just long enough to throw the ring at his chest. There's nothing left to talk about. The metal hit the floor between us, a sound small but final. He flinched, eyes wide, lips parted as if words could still save him. I turned away before he could try again. I packed with shaking hands. The gown, the jewelry, the shoes, I left them all behind. I took only my purse and the version of myself that still remembered how to breathe as I stepped into the hallway. A few guests glanced up from their breakfast tables. Whispers followed me like smoke. Isn't that the bride? What happened? She looks destroyed. Maybe I was. But destruction can also be rebirth. Outside, the morning sun hit my face, harsh and blinding. I squinted at the horizon, feeling the sting of light on my tired skin. For a moment, I just stood there alone, humiliated. But breathing, the taxi driver looked at me through the rearview mirror. Rough night? I met his gaze. No, I said quietly, almost smiling. Just the start of a new one. As the car pulled away, the hotel faded behind me like a bad dream. My heart was cracked, yes, but beneath the ache, something fierce began to stir. I wasn't the woman who waited behind closed doors anymore. I was the woman who walked away from them. Isabella Miller files for annulment after one night of marriage. That headline followed me everywhere. My name, once whispered with admiration, had become gossip fuel for strangers, who never even met me. When I stepped outside my old apartment, Mrs. Nolan from across the hall smiled sweetly and said, "We're praying for you." Dear. Then she turned to whisper to someone, "Poor girl." Left on her wedding night. I walked away before she could finish. By the end of the week, Ethan froze our joint accounts. My parents were drowning in embarrassment. Maybe you should stay quiet for a while, my mother suggested on the phone. People will forget. Forget? I repeated, choking out a bitter laugh. They won't forget, Mom. They'll wait for my next fall. I hung up. I sold my jewelry. I sold the dress. Every sparkle reminded me of betrayal. With what little cash I had, I rented a small room above a laundromat. The air smelled like detergent and loneliness. When I saw the cafe's sign that said help wanted, I walked in without thinking. A girl with bright brown eyes looked up from behind the counter. Hi there. You looking for a job? Yes, I said softly. If you're hiring. She smiled. I'm Maya, the owner's my aunt. Can you handle rush hours? I can handle worse. She laughed. You'll fit right in. That was how my new life began, behind an espresso machine, serving lattes instead of love stories. Every morning I tied my apron tighter and hid my past under fake smiles. But sometimes, customers recognized me. Wait, are you that Isabella? A girl whispered one afternoon. From the wedding scandal? I forced a polite grin. No, you must be mistaken. She tilted her head. You just look a lot like her. I get that a lot, I said, walking away before my hands could tremble. Maya noticed. You okay? She asked gently when I returned to the counter. I'm fine. You don't look fine. I'm learning. I exhaled. That pain doesn't kill you. It just teaches you who you really are. She leaned against the counter. Then what's it teaching you? I looked at the empty cup in front of me, tracing the rim with my finger. That I was too soft. Too trusting. That people like Ethan and Clara only love when it benefits them. Maya nodded. Then stop being the soft one. Her words stayed with me. That night, as I walked back to my tiny room, I passed by a newsstand. Ethan and Clara were on the cover of a lifestyle magazine, smiling, glowing, acting like the perfect couple. The caption read, "Love wins after scandal." I stared at their picture until my stomach twisted. Then I smiled slowly, darkly. Let them enjoy their empire, I whispered. Because I'll be the storm that brings it down. The city lights blurred behind me as I walked on, the cold air biting my cheeks. For the first time in weeks, the pain didn't suffocate me, it fueled me. I wasn't broken anymore. I was becoming dangerous. Asterisk, the bell above the cafe door chimed again. It was the same man, black suit, calm eyes, and a voice that carried quiet authority. He always ordered the same thing. Black coffee, no sugar. Rough morning? I asked one day, trying to sound casual. He looked up from his phone. Every morning is rough when you deal with people who lie for a living. That made me smile faintly. Then you must be in politics or business. Both, he said, glancing at my name tag. Isabella. My breath hitched for a second. I had almost forgotten what my own name sounded like in a stranger's mouth. You remember names well. I remember faces better, he replied. And yours doesn't belong in a cafe. I frowned. Excuse me? You have the eyes of someone who's been betrayed and learned from it. He stirred his coffee slowly. Most people crumble after that. You're still standing. Something about his certainty disarmed me. You don't know me. Maybe not, he said calmly, but I know strength when I see it. After that, Liam Grant became a regular. Every evening at 6, he'd sit by the window, working on his laptop while I refilled his cup. Sometimes he'd ask questions that felt too sharp to be casual. What do you really want from life, Isabella? I don't know anymore, I admitted. I used to want love, security, now I just want peace. Peace comes after power, he said. Not before, I laughed softly. Power? I can't even afford new shoes. He leaned forward. Money doesn't make power. Perspective does. Learn how people think and you control the room. His words lingered with me for days. He wasn't flirting, he was challenging me. One night, after closing, he waited outside the cafe. Walk with me, he said. Where? Just around the block. I want to show you something. The streets were quiet, neon lights flickering in the distance. He stopped near a tall office building, the kind that screamed ambition. This is mine, he said simply. Grant Holdings. I built it from the ground up after my partner betrayed me. I turned to him. You were betrayed too? He nodded once, and I thanked him for it later. Without that pain, I'd still be small, weak, needing validation. His honesty hit me harder than I expected. So, what, you think I should thank the people who destroyed me? He smiled faintly. No, I think you should outgrow them. That night, something shifted inside me. The next day, I found myself waiting for his visits. Not because of attraction, though his confidence had its charm, but because he made me see myself differently. He started giving me books on business, psychology, leadership. You don't need revenge yet, he said once. You need strategy, control, learn to think like them, and they'll never hurt you again. Maya teased me constantly. Your mysterious mentor is kind of handsome, she whispered. He's just helping me rebuild, I said. Though a small part of me wondered why he cared. One evening, as he left, he paused by the door. You'll be powerful one day, Isabella, he said. Just promise me one thing when that happens. Don't forget how it felt to be powerless. I watched him disappear into the night, his words echoing louder than any promise. For the first time since the wedding, I didn't feel broken. I felt reborn. 3 years change everything, especially a woman who's been broken once. When I look in the mirror now, I don't see Isabella Miller, the crying bride. I see Isabella Reyes, founder of Reyes Media and Marketing, one of the fastest growing firms in the city. My name, my face, even my voice, everything has sharpened. Pain taught me precision. Olivia, I called out as I reviewed the morning emails. What's on my schedule today? She flipped through her tablet, quick and efficient. 3 client meetings, 1 investor lunch, and an inquiry from a luxury automobile company. They want a long-term marketing contract. Which company? I asked, not looking up. She hesitated. Knight Automotive. My pen froze mid-air. That name, I hadn't heard it in years. Knight Automotive, I repeated slowly. Owned by Ethan Knight? Olivia nodded. Yes, that's the one. Should I decline the meeting? For a second, the air felt heavier. Ethan, my ex-husband. The man who replaced vows with betrayal. I straightened my blazer. No, schedule it. Olivia blinked. Are you sure? Completely. I smiled faintly. It's just business. But inside, my pulse was a quiet storm. Later that afternoon, Liam called. His voice still carried that same calm authority. Olivia told me you took the night automotive meeting. I did, I replied, leaning back in my chair. Problem? None, he said. Just be careful. Closure and revenge looked the same from a distance. I smiled. Don't worry, Liam, I'm not the girl who used to cry in a wedding dress. He chuckled softly. No, you're not. You're the woman who learned to build empires from ashes. After the call, I looked around my office, the glass walls, the skyline view, the silver plaque that read Reyes Media and Marketing. Every piece of it was proof that I had rebuilt my life from the ruins Ethan left behind. Still, when Olivia walked in with the file, my heart flickered. Their CEO's assistant confirmed, she said. Ethan Knight himself will be attending the meeting tomorrow. I nodded, keeping my expression neutral. Good, prepare the proposal. That night, as I walked through my penthouse, I thought about the girl I used to be, the one who begged for love. I whispered to the silence, you don't need his apology anymore. You just need him to see what he lost. The next morning came with quiet confidence. I wore black sharp, commanding, unyielding. Olivia met me in the lobby, wide-eyed. You look like you could buy his entire company. Maybe I will, I said with a smile. We entered the conference room. The glass table reflected the city's golden light. I stood by the projector as the door opened, and there he was. Ethan. He looked almost the same, polished, charming, but his eyes widened when he saw me. Isabella? It's Reyes now, I corrected calmly. Welcome to my firm. For a moment, silence stretched between us. The last time I'd seen him, he'd been laughing with Clara. Now, he looked uncertain, like the ground beneath him had shifted. He cleared his throat. I didn't realize you were leading this company. You never realized a lot of things, I said smoothly, opening the presentation. Shall we begin? Throughout the meeting, I spoke with precision numbers, projections, marketing angles. Ethan tried to keep up, but I saw it in his eyes. Confusion, disbelief, regret. When it ended, he stood up. You've changed. I met his gaze evenly. No, Ethan, I just stopped being who you made me. He didn't reply. He just watched as I turned away, shaking hands with his team, commanding the room that once would have terrified me. As the elevator doors closed behind him, Olivia grinned. You really just did that. I exhaled slowly. No, Olivia. That was just the beginning. Because for the first time, I wasn't the broken bride anymore. I was the woman who built herself from betrayal, and now I had his attention again. Asterisk, I walked into the glass-walled office, my heels echoing like small declarations of victory. Every eye turned, but I didn't flinch. Olivia whispered beside me, You okay? I've never been better, I said, though my pulse thudded like a secret drum. The moment the door opened, I saw him. Ethan, his pen froze midair. For a heartbeat, silence expanded between us, heavy and sharp. Then his lips parted. Isabella? His voice cracked. It's really you? I smiled, cold, calm, precise. Ms. Reyes, I corrected. We're to discuss the Horizon campaign. He stood, visibly shaken. You changed your name. People evolve, I replied, setting my file on the table. And some names deserve to be buried. He exhaled, rubbing his temple. I didn't expect, neither did I interrupted smoothly. But business surprises us all, doesn't it? Olivia placed the proposal in front of him, her movements crisp and professional. He didn't look at the papers. His eyes, those same eyes that once promised forever, were locked on me. You started your own firm, he said quietly. Impressive. I don't believe in staying broken, I said. I rebuild. He leaned forward, elbows on the table. Is this revenge? I laughed softly. Revenge? No, Ethan, this is marketing. But inside, the irony burned deliciously. Every breath of control, every ounce of composure, I savored it. I wasn't the girl who begged him to stay. I was the woman who made him sweat under fluorescent lights. I heard you and Clara. I let the sentence hang. Tasting the power in my pause, he shifted uncomfortably. We're not together anymore, I feigned surprise. Oh, that's unfortunate. She left, he muttered. Things fell apart. Karma, I whispered, pretending to adjust my watch. It works fast these days. He flinched. You think I deserved it? I don't think about you enough to decide that, I said. My tone sugar-smoothed out. He studied me for a moment, as if searching for the old Isabella beneath the polish. You've changed, he said finally. I had to, I replied. Pain is an effective teacher. A tense silence filled the space until Olivia broke it. Mr. Hayes, if we could go over the campaign terms. Yes, of course, I said, sliding the presentation forward. Our strategy is bold, just like your brand. Ethan barely nodded. His attention flickered between my lips, my eyes, my unbothered smile. The more I stayed composed, the more his confidence cracked out. As we wrapped up, he said, "Can we talk privately?" I gathered my folder. We just did. Isabella, wait. I turned at the door, my hand on the frame. It's Ms. Reyes, remember? His shoulders fell, defeated. Right, Ms. Reyes. I smiled one last time, calm and victorious. I'll have Olivia send over the final draft. Have a nice day, Mr. Hayes. When the door closed behind me, I felt the tremor in my chest ease into something beautiful, closure disguised as confidence. 3 years ago, I left in pieces. Today, I walked out whole. When Ethan's assistant called, I already knew what he wanted. Desperation had a scent, and his company reeked of it. The next morning, I stepped into his office again, same view, different battlefield. He stood as I entered, eyes clouded with exhaustion. Isabella, Ms. Reyes, I corrected, placing my briefcase on the polished table. You said this was urgent. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. It is. My board's threatening to pull funding. We're drowning. I folded my arms. And what do you expect from me? Partnership, he said quickly. You're the best in marketing, and your campaigns save collapsing brands, I finished. Yes, I know my record. He hesitated. Then you'll help? I didn't say that. I leaned forward. Why should I save you, Ethan? He flinched at my tone. Because you know what this company means to me. I smiled faintly. You mean what it used to mean before greed, lies, and betrayal. His jaw tightened. You can't keep punishing me. I'm not punishing you, I said calmly. I'm offering you a chance to pay for your mistakes professionally. The door opened behind him. A tall man entered, gray suit, sharp eyes. Ms. Reyes and Mr. Hughes, he said, shaking my hand. Board member. I'll be frank, we're skeptical of this partnership. Then don't waste my time, I replied. I don't beg for deals. Ethan shot him a warning look. Hughes, please. Mr. Hughes smirked. You've got a reputation for being ruthless, Ms. Reyes. I can see why. I prefer the term effective, I said. He leaned back in his chair. What exactly are your terms? I opened the file. Reyes & Co. gets 55% creative control, 40% profit share, and veto power on campaign decisions. Ethan blinked. 40%? That's insane. It's survival, I replied. If you had other offers, you wouldn't have called me. Mr. Hughes frowned. She's taking advantage of your situation. I met his gaze. No, Mr. Hughes, I'm leveraging my worth. There's a difference. Ethan rubbed his temples. You're really not going to make this easy, are you? Was it easy when you left me broken? I said softly, then caught myself. This isn't personal. It's business. He swallowed. You'll get your terms. But I want your word you'll see this through. My word, I said, signing the papers. But understand this partnership runs on my conditions, my strategy, my timing. Mr. Hughes stood abruptly. The board won't like this. Then find another miracle, I said without looking up. He left in a huff and Ethan exhaled shakily. You really don't hold back, do you? I learned from the best, I said, closing my briefcase. He managed a small, bitter laugh. You're enjoying this. Not enjoying, I corrected, meeting his eyes. Fulfilling. He leaned back, defeated. You always did know how to win. I walked to the door, my heels clicking like a countdown. And you always underestimated me. His voice followed softly. Isabella, what happened to us? I paused but didn't turn. You did. Then I walked out his empire in my hands, his pride in ruins. For once, I didn't feel heartbreak. I felt power. It was past midnight when I opened the drawer I hadn't touched in years. My fingers brushed against the old leather cover of my diary, the one I'd written in after the wedding. After everything fell apart, the pages still smelled faintly of perfume and tears. I read aloud, my voice barely a whisper. He promised forever. I believed him. My throat tightened. God, I was so naive. Isabella? Liam's voice came from the doorway. You're still awake? I couldn't sleep. I tried to smile but failed. I found this. He walked closer, eyes soft. The diary? I nodded. It's pathetic, isn't it? The way I wrote about love like it was some fairy tale. He sat beside me, his tone gentle. It wasn't pathetic. It was hope. You were human. I stared at the pages. I thought if I could ruin Ethan, maybe I'd stop feeling like that girl broken, humiliated. Liam leaned back slightly. And do you feel better now that you're winning? I hesitated. Sometimes. But then I read this and realize maybe I'm just becoming like him. He sighed. That's the danger of revenge. It gives you purpose, but it steals your peace. I closed the diary, gripping it tightly. He destroyed everything, Liam. My name, my trust, my sense of worth. Why should he walk free while I carry the scars? Because you're stronger than he'll ever be, he said quietly. You built yourself again from ashes. Don't bring that version of you for closure. I looked away. You make it sound easy. It's not, he admitted. But power without mercy just leaves you empty. His words sank deep, unsettling. Do you think I've gone too far? He gave a faint smile. No, I think you've gone far enough to ask that question. I set the diary on the table. I remember writing about forgiveness once. I said it was for the weak. Maybe I was wrong. Liam's voice softened. Forgiveness doesn't mean you forget. It just means you stop letting the past own you. The clock ticked in the silence that followed. I traced the diary's edges. Sometimes I wonder who I'd be if none of this happened. He chuckled lightly. Probably bored. That made me laugh barely, but it broke the heaviness. You always know how to ruin a dramatic moment. That's my charm, he said with a wink. Now, come on. Put the past back in the drawer. I hesitated, then closed the diary and slid it away. It feels like burying a body. Then let it rest, he murmured as he turned off the lamp. I whispered to the dark. Maybe revenge isn't what I need after all. Liam's hand brushed mine. Then start needing peace instead. For the first time in years, I didn't fight the silence. I just let it hold me. Did you see this? Maya's voice trembled as she thrust my phone across the table. I skimmed the headline, Clara Harris accused of embezzlement. Flees country. My stomach dropped, but it wasn't the sharp stab of betrayal. It was cold, clear. Relief oddly clean. Ethan? I asked. Maya swallowed. He's on every channel. His company's stock is plummeting. People are calling for his resignation. I felt no glee, only a strange calm. So karma finally did the work. The TV in the cafe showed Ethan's face older, hollow. A news anchor listed accusations, bank freezes, threats. I watched his collapse like a science experiment, clinical and inevitable. Liam called, Maya said. He wants to know if you need anything. No, I said. Tell him I'm fine. My hands were steady. My voice steady. For once, the world wasn't spinning. You're not laughing, she observed. Are you okay? I'm okay, I repeated. I think I'm relieved. A customer mumbled, Isn't that the divorced bride? Someone nodded. Whispers brushed past like wind. My phone buzzed. Ethan's number flashed. I let it ring out. He left a message frantic, Isabella, please call me. Claire took everything. I didn't know, I swear, I listened until it ended. Then I deleted it. Maya watched me, concern in her eyes. You could answer. You could say something. And say what? I asked. But I feel badly? That the man who ruined me is ruined too? I won't be the one to comfort him. He sounded desperate. Let him be, I said. Let him face it. Later, Liam stopped by the cafe in his usual quiet way. He sat across from me. I heard, he said, Clara stole from Ethan? I asked. Yes, she transferred funds to an offshore account and left last night. The board is in chaos. Hughes is furious. Do you think Ethan knew? I asked. He considered. He may have been blind. Or complicit. Either way, the consequence is the same. The bell jingled as customers came and went. Conversation filled the room, ordinary and small. I sipped my coffee, tasting its bitter edges like truth. What will you do? Liam asked. I shrugged. Nothing. The word felt powerful. I've been building a life without needing to pull anyone down. Watching this happen without my hand in it, it's better than any revenge I could plan. He studied me. Doesn't it bother you? That you didn't act? I thought about it, I said. But revenge demands more of you than the person you punish. It consumes. Letting them fall on their own terms leaves me intact. Silence stretched, careful and heavy. Maya touched my arm. You're strong? I'm learning to be, I said. And when this settles, I will rebuild what remains. Not to spite them, but to prove I can. Liam nodded. Then we stand with you. I smiled, small but genuine. Thank you. I felt strangely peaceful. Life went on. I felt a quiet victory, not loud but complete. Asterisk, the rain poured like the sky itself wanted to wash the city clean. I stood in the lobby waiting for my car when I saw an Ethan, soaked, trembling. Hello I double quotes Isabella, he said, voice breaking through the storm. For a second, I couldn't breathe. What are you doing here? He took a shaky step forward. I had to see you. Please just listen. I folded my arms. You should have thought about that years ago. I made a mistake, he said, rain dripping down his face. Clara, she used me. I lost everything. The company, the house, my reputation. I have nothing left. My chest tightened. Once I would have killed to hear him admit that. And you think I'll fix that for you? No, he said quietly. I just wanted to apologize. I can't sleep knowing what I did to you. His voice cracked, raw and small. I looked away, forcing my heart to stay cold. An apology doesn't erase betrayal, Ethan. I know. He wiped his face. But I'm begging you, Isabella. I can't find work. No one trusts me. I thought maybe you'd let me prove I've changed. A bitter laugh escaped me. You want me to help you? After everything? He looked down. You're the only person who still sees me as human. I walked past him toward the car, but he caught my wrist gently. Please, I'm not asking for pity. I'll take anything. Any position. His touch sent a shiver through me, not the kind from love, but memory. The night of my wedding. The laughter behind that door. Anything? I asked, turning slowly. Yes, he said. I'll work for you, clean floors, make coffee, anything. I looked at him, truly looked. His once perfect suit was wrinkled, shoes muddy, eyes empty. He wasn't the man who broke me. He was what remained after karma finished its work. Fine, I said at last. I'll give you a job. His head snapped up. You will? Yes, I said evenly. I need a driver. You'll start tomorrow at 8. His expression flickered between disbelief and humiliation. Your driver? I nodded. You said you'd take anything. He swallowed hard. Isabella, please, no, I said sharply. This is what you asked for. A chance to prove you've changed. If you truly have, you'll take the job. For a moment, the only sound was rain hitting the pavement. Then he whispered, okay. Good, I said, stepping into my car. Be on time. I don't tolerate delays. The door shut, muffling the storm. Through the window, I watched him standing there drenched, defeated. Still holding on to what little pride he had left, Maya glanced at me from the front seat. Was that really him? Yes, I said softly. And tomorrow he'll be driving me to work. She blinked. You're serious? I looked out at the rain. Completely. For the first time in years, I felt the scales of fate balance. Not with vengeance, but with power, the kind that comes from survival. And as the car pulled away, I whispered to myself, now he'll know what it feels like to serve the woman he destroyed. The next morning, my phone buzzed at exactly 8. Ma'am, your car is ready, Ethan's voice said, polite and distant. Good, I replied. I'll be right down. When I stepped outside the building, he was standing by the car door, dressed neatly in the uniform Olivia had arranged. His hands were steady, but his eyes didn't meet mine. "Morning," I said. "Morning, Miss Reyes," he replied, using my new name like a barrier. "Open the door," I ordered. He did. I sat in silence, the leather cold against my skin, while he adjusted the mirror. The world outside blurred as the car started to move. "Left turn," I said softly. "Yes, ma'am." The quiet stretched between us like an old wound that refused to close. At a red light, I caught his reflection in the mirror. His jaw clenched, his eyes once full of arrogance were now heavy with regret. "You know," I began, "you used to drive this city like you owned it." He hesitated. "I remember. And now?" He didn't answer. Just tightened his grip on the steering wheel. I leaned back, voice calm. "Funny how the universe works. You once drove me toward my destruction. Now you drive me to meetings." His knuckles went white. "I deserve this," he said quietly. I looked out the window. "Yes, you do." When we reached my office, he rushed out to open the door. Cameras clicked from a distance. People noticed. Whispers followed about the billionaire CEO and her fallen ex-husband now working for her. Olivia met me at the entrance. "You're really keeping him?" she whispered. "For now," I said. "He's a reminder." "A reminder of what?" "That I survived." Ethan stood by the car, head bowed, pretending not to hear. I knew every second of this humiliated him, but I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. My calm was louder than his downfall. At lunch, Maya called. "You okay?" "I'm fine," I said, stirring my coffee. "He drives well." "Quiet, obedient." "You sound cold." I smiled faintly. "It's not coldness, Maya, it's peace." That evening, as he dropped me home, he finally spoke. "Do you ever think about us?" I turned to him. "Every day. But not the way you hope." He exhaled shakily. "I don't expect forgiveness." "Good," I said. "Because forgiveness is for the innocent." "And you're not." He nodded, eyes glistening. "Still, I'll drive. Every day. Until you don't need me." I stepped out of the car, heels clicking on the wet pavement. "You're right about one thing," I said, meeting his gaze. "I don't need you. But I do like watching karma work with such precision." That night, standing by my window, I watched the city lights flicker below. For the first time, I didn't feel broken or vengeful. I just felt free. The wheel was finally in my hands of the car, of my life, of everything he once tried to control. Asterisk rain tapped against my window like a nervous rhythm. I hadn't expected Ethan to show up again, not after the quiet weeks that followed his first day as my driver. But when I stepped into the garage that morning, he was already there leaning against the car, drenched, hands trembling. "I need to talk to you," he said, voice low, rough. I sighed. "You're late, Ethan." "I know. Please just hear me out." I looked at him, his soaked shirt clinging to his chest, eyes hollow, voice shaking between pride and pain. "Make it quick." He took a deep breath. "Clara used me." I blinked, silent. "She wanted the status, the money, the name," he said. Every word like a confession he'd rehearsed too many times. I thought she loved me, but the moment everything collapsed, she disappeared. My throat tightened, but I forced calm into my tone. "And you want what, Ethan?" "Pity?" "No," he whispered. "I want you to know I'm sorry. For everything. For what I did, for walking away, for breaking you when all you ever did was love me." I laughed softly, but it wasn't humor, it was disbelief. "Sorry doesn't unbreak anything." He looked up then, eyes meeting mine with a kind of desperation I hadn't seen before. "I don't want excuses. I want a chance. Just one. I can't sleep knowing I ruined the only real thing I ever had." "Ruined?" I repeated. "You didn't ruin something, Ethan. You ended it." He flinched, silence swallowing the air between us. I turned to the car, pretending to check my bag, my breathing uneven. "I see you every day," he said behind me. "You walk past me like I'm invisible. And I can't stand it." "Then quit," I said coldly. "I won't." He replied immediately. "Because even if I have to open your car door every morning for the rest of my life, it means I'll still see you. I'll still be near you." The honesty in his voice was a knife. I felt it sharp, familiar, and unwanted. "You think that's love?" I whispered. "Being near me out of guilt?" "It's not guilt," he said. "It's regret." and love I was too stupid to recognize. For a second, I wanted to believe him. For a second, I almost did. But then I remembered the night, the betrayal, the lies, the silence. "You're late." Liam's voice came from behind. Calm, steady, grounding. Ethan turned, shoulders stiffening as Liam stepped closer, umbrella in hand, eyes steady on me. "We should go," Liam said softly. Ethan's jaw clenched. So this is him. The one who replaced me. I met Ethan's gaze. "No one replaced you?" "I just stopped waiting for you to come back." He looked at me like the words physically hit him. "I don't believe that," he whispered. "You don't have to," I said. "But forgiveness doesn't mean reunion, Ethan. It means I finally stopped bleeding." Liam moved beside me, silent, protective. I didn't need to look at him to feel the quiet strength in his presence. Ethan's lips parted, but no words came. For once, the man who used to have all the answers had none. As I opened the car door, I paused. "Drive safe when it's your turn," I said softly. "You've crashed enough lives already." He looked down, rain tracing the lines of his face. "I deserve that." I nodded. "Yes, you did." Then I got into the car. Liam started the engine. Through the window, I watched Ethan fade into the blur of rain like a ghost I had finally learned to let go of. Morning sunlight spilled across my office window, warm and soft, the kind of light I once thought I'd never feel again. I stood there, coffee in hand, watching the city move below me. Ethan waited by the car, as he always did, silent, distant. A ghost of a chapter I'd already finished. When I finally walked out, his eyes flicked up for a second. "Good morning," he said quietly. "Morning," I replied, sliding into the back seat. The leather no longer smelled like him. It smelled like peace. For a few blocks, we said nothing. Just the hum of the engine and the rhythm of my heartbeat steady, strong, unafraid. "You've changed," he said finally. I smiled faintly at the reflection of his eyes in the rearview mirror. "I had to. I barely recognize you." "Good," I said. The old me was easy to break. He exhaled, gripping the steering wheel tighter. "I never meant to." "Don't," I interrupted. "We've already done this part. I just need you to know I still think about it." "About you?" "About what I did." "I'm sure you do," I said softly. "But I don't." He flinched at that, silence falling again. I looked out the window, watching the world blur past shops, faces, laughter. Things I'd once envied now felt beautifully ordinary. "You ever miss us?" He asked after a while. "No," I said simply. "I miss who I was before you broke me. But I don't miss what we were." He swallowed hard. "You've built something incredible. Everyone talks about you, how powerful you are now." "I didn't do it to prove anything to anyone," I said. "I did it because I refused to stay broken." He nodded slowly. "You're stronger than me." "I always was," I said, not cruelly, just truthfully. The car slowed at a red light. I caught my reflection in the glass-sharp eyes, calm lips. No trace of the trembling woman who once cried in her wedding dress. "Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't left." He murmured, "You would have still found a way to destroy us." I replied, "Because back then you didn't love me, you loved control." He looked down. "And now?" "Now I control my own life," I said. "That's enough." He laughed weakly. "I deserve every word you throw at me." "It's not about deserving anymore, Ethan," I said. "It's about understanding. You took something from me that night, my trust, my innocence, my peace. But in losing all that, I found something better." "What's that?" He asked quietly, myself. He didn't respond. His knuckles turned white on the wheel, and for a moment, I almost pitied him. Almost out when we reached my destination, he parked and stepped out to open the door. His movements were careful, almost reverent. I stepped out, heels clicking against the pavement, head high. "Thank you, Ethan," I said. He hesitated. "For what?" "For driving me," I said, meeting his gaze. "In more ways than one." He blinked, confusion flickering into regret. "You really are done with me, aren't you?" "I was done the day I realized forgiveness doesn't require keeping someone close," I said. "You're a part of my past, Ethan, not my punishment." He nodded slowly. "You've become someone else." "No," I whispered. "I became who I was always meant to be." I turned and walked away, heels tapping like punctuation marks at the end of our story. The air felt light. The sky dashed clear dot inside the building. I paused by the glass door, looking at my reflection one last time. I saw strength, not scars. Grace, not grief. And as I whispered to myself, my voice steady and sure, the truth settled like peace in my chest. He took my wedding night, I said, smiling faintly, but I took back my life.